So, hello and welcome to the CIN Network. I'm here with Daniel Sloan. Hi, Daniel. How are you doing?
Good, Rexford. How you doing?
Yeah, very good, very good. We don't have the weather that you have, but we definitely have something very interesting to discuss and share with the network. So, a quick introduction. Daniel Sloan is the CTO of RealSplit. RealSplit is a company that we're very excited about. They're offering real world commercial assets in terms of commercial property. And they're offering the opportunity for you, the investor, to own fractional shares within their commercial property portfolio. And it's an exciting platform. They're utilizing blockchains in new and wonderful ways. So we want Daniel to kind of just tell us a little bit more about that.
Sure.
We're very excited at the opportunity that this presents and how this is going to change real estate going forward. So Daniel, obviously welcome to the CIN network. And
Thank you.
obviously we're looking forward to collaborating with yourself, RealSplit, and the platform. So tell us what the underlying concept is and the technology used and the associated IP.
Absolutely. So the idea about being able to fractionalize a property, a lot of people have probably heard the word tokenization, and that's another way you can use those interchangeably. In the United States, we say fractionalization because we don't have the laws around tokenization in place yet. So we have to literally offer our properties um, as a security. But by building a blockchain based platform, we are basically future proofing RealSplit because we will have the laws on the books. There's some that are going through our Senate right now, and once they pass, we'll actually be able to remove the broker dealer from the middle of this transaction. It'll no longer be a security, and I can offer an investor the ability to invest in one of our properties, and that ownership will be represented in a blockchain token. So right now, we have a blockchain based system. We use tokens, but the investor actually gets issued securities from our licensed broker dealer, and that's how we transact. Versus in the future, the technology and the IP we've created will actually be able to use that blockchain smart contract and issue them a token. So that's the main reason why we built the blockchain and AI based platform.
Thanks for that, Daniel. So it sounds like you guys have been quite busy over the last couple of years because we know it's a new and emerging market. It's quite challenging to bring IP and the blockchain together in that kind of senior and seamless union. In terms of what and how the actual platform looks and feels. Can you kind of just give us a segue into that and allow us to understand what your experience is relative to the technology and how that prepared you for creating the Real Split platform?
Certainly. So I've been in the tech space, wow, dating myself. I got out of the Marine Corps in 1994. It took me about a year to find my place in this world. I got a job in the IT, information technology scene, and I never looked back. Within 2 years later, I started my first software company. And so I've been in the software space for a long time, have built platforms, was part of the dot-com evolution and revolution. And I got into the Web3 blockchain space in 2016 when it's just started to boom and get going. So, been part of a couple tech revolutions, if you will. And there's one common denominator to no matter what is happening from the tech space. If a user can't come in and easily use the platform, transact with it, and understand it, there's this, I don't know, almost like crocodile brain fear of this is new and I don't understand it. And then they just leave, they go away. They're not willing to take the time to learn and understand it. So when we talk about how we architected and built the Real Split platform, we wanted to make it very simple. I wanted your grandmother to be able to come in, come into our system and not need to get you on the telly, the phone, and say, hey, you know, I'm on this Real Split platform. How do I use it? Right? We wanted her to be able to just immediately get on there, just like she was going to Amazon or any other platform, and just be able to transact. So that was the kind of the vision around the Real Split platform was, even though we have very cutting edge technology like blockchain and artificial intelligence, when you come in, make it very vanilla, very simple, very easy to use, so the users don't have to go get a college degree to transact.
Yeah, I think that's quite an important thing. And I think people always talk about, the way that Apple didn't take a new technology, but they made it easier and more accessible for the
They
average
certainly did.
person to use. And sometimes that is, the creation of, the throughput or the niche there. So just that leads on quite nicely into my next question, which is really in your own words, how will the technology support the growth, the actual growth of the platform, as you grow your investor base? And I guess some of that is kind of you answered that in the previous section in terms of how you've developed the platform. But can
Mm-hmm.
you kind of just allude on that slightly more?
Sure. So we're a commercial real estate company first and foremost, right? Um, we use technology, we use this blockchain and AI based platform to basically enable us. So I think a good analogy is, I grew up with my dad in the summers. Our house, we heated it with wood upstairs and downstairs. So we needed a lot of wood during the winter. And the last thing you want to be doing in the winter is be out there in a foot of snow trying to cut down trees. So we spend our summers chopping wood. And when I was young, I had the axe. That's all I got to use. But I got to watch my dad use a chainsaw. And finally, I got to a point where I got old enough, and he's like, "Here, I'm going to teach you how to use this chainsaw." The moment I got that chainsaw and started cutting trees down with it, I never wanted to pick up an axe again because it was so easy. It was so simple. And it enabled me to do my job so efficiently. So we kind of take the same approach here with Real Split, that we aren't doing anything different from a commercial real estate platform, but standpoint, but the platform enables us to seamlessly onboard investors. The integration with our broker dealer handles all the compliance, all the regulatory. Our AI answers all the questions for the investors. It's 24/7, right? So we have put all these technology tools in place that enables our growth to a standpoint of, the only thing that restricts us from growing is how quickly we can find new properties, acquire those properties, and then add value and put return on investment to the investors. So from a bringing in capital and investor standpoint, we feel like we have that in place. Now it's going to be my partner's Brian turn to go and just go find great properties that have good return on investment, so all these investors can make money.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, that's quite important. I mean, one key people thing or an item that people sometimes forget is there is a mechanical part to this, which is actually sourcing the properties and making sure that right pipeline is there, because otherwise you've just basically got an empty platform. So the interesting
Like
thing of
most of the platforms.
correct, right. So I think
Most of the companies doing this have empty platforms because they know how to build technology. They don't know how to do real
well,
estate.
we're going to get into a gray space there when we start talking
Yeah.
about people, mechanizing and creating customers that don't exist just to get
Yeah.
Series A and Series B. But that's probably another series. But
Sure.
I think that the fact that yourself, you have the technology background, and then Brian has that commercial wealth of commercial property background and experience and network is key to the success of this platform. And that kind of leads into, obviously, there's no system that can grow without some level of cost. So just give us an idea of, so as the platform sits now, as you scale and grow, what kind of cost, variable cost do you think you're going to incur, as the platform grows and expands? Is there a big hit in terms of costs, or is it kind of reasonably subdued?
So if you would have asked me this question 3 years ago, it would have been a different answer, right? Um, I think artificial intelligence, I don't have to really explain to your listeners how profound of an impact it's having on companies. And I have been in the artificial intelligence space since about 2014. There was a company called Automation Anywhere. They're one of the largest AI companies in the world that does robotic process automation. I was working with them back then, and that was the kind of the birth of AI. Well, today you have Claude, you have Chat GPT, you've got everything, right, that people are using. And we are actually finding that as we grow the platform, I won't need to add the three, four, five, six, maybe 8 to 10 engineers that I used to. We can grow significantly without adding another single engineer for at least 2 years, because our architects and our engineers understand how to bring in and utilize the AI to do the work that these junior engineers were using. So what is their next big cost? Well, anyone that understands anything about technology that runs up in the cloud is that you have cloud services. We use Amazon Web Services, AWS. And for most companies, that can be a hit because they're using the application, it's costing them AWS every month. But I look at it in a positive way. If my AWS bill goes way up, it means one thing. It means there's lots of investors on the platform, they're investing into our deals, and we as a business are making money. So I would love for our cost of this platform to go way up, because the cost of the platform going up is a symptom of lots of investors, lots of deals being done. So really, in our mind, there really is no hit to our cost increase, because if our tech cost goes up, that means our profitability has gone up, and it's the profitability is way more than any cost of the tech.
Yeah, yeah, I can understand where you're coming from in terms of that kind of marriage between scale, growth, and costs. And we've seen rapidly, obviously, cost in terms of cloud services rapidly expanding with the advent and the adoption of the agentic era, or artificial intelligence. It's funny because the next question is based on AI, and I believe you really kind of answered. The next question really was, how has AI allowed you to curate and improve the investor journey just by adding value to that journey? And I think you've kind of answered that, but are there any specific features that you want to pull out and tease out that make that process all the more enticing for investors?
Sure. So, a lot of people are really geeking out on AI and really understand the concepts well. And any of your listeners that do and understand the power of an agentic AI, right? Like the Swiss Army knives of AI, does literally everything, has all your information. So previously, I want to do an AI that's going to, let's say, analyze all my properties that I want to invest in. Think about all the mountains of data that you need to crunch as a human being to see if this property even fits your investment criteria. Well, we've built an AI to do that for us now. Well, previously, that AI sits there and does this job, and then I have another AI that's my conversational AI, and that's answering your questions for experts. So you come as an investor and say, "Hey, tell me about this lore, tell me about this property, tell me about this," and so it has been trained in data. Well, the great thing about agentic AI is it's one AI that does everything now. So the AI that is actually doing the analysis on the properties and knows probably better than me and Brian at the end what are the pros and cons and everything. When you ask it a question, it was the progenitor of that research. So it knows. So I don't have to train it on that because it's the one that originally did the work. So we'll go in, we'll add information. So to me, it kind of blows my mind because you used to almost have to have, lots of different minions, lots of different programs doing different things. And now with AI, and specifically agentic AI, we can have it doing multiple things within the company, and it gets smarter and better the more we use it.
Oh yeah, that's quite an interesting concept, that continuous learning and that continuous refinement, and building that into a sales process is quite a big standout feature of what the platform does. So that's quite interesting. Um, just following on from that,
Hmm.
just looking at what's involved in the actual development of the platform. And how everybody talks about carbon offsetting and the environment and how cloud computing does have an environmental impact. How would you say, if any, the development of Real Split has been designed to kind of counteract that offset there. So, are there any features that you think are, um, environmentally friendly and positive in terms of using less resources, maybe in the cloud services? So, have you designed with
Certainly.
that in mind?
Well, the more efficient you can make something run, the less it costs of anything, right? Like the more efficient your car runs, the less gasoline it burns, the less CO2 it puts in the air. So I think, your listeners can understand that efficiency is a positive thing. And so by having a platform that was purpose built, that was set up to only have services run as they need them. So any of the techies that might be listening understand kind of auto scaling the servers, right? So we don't have the platform running. It's not. It's a Ferrari, but it's not sitting there idling like a Ferrari. It's sitting there idling very, very low. But the moment people come on and start using it, those services kick in immediately. So it's set up to where, let's say we run an advertisement and a bunch of people see that advertisement, and all of a sudden we get 40,000 people that click the mouse button at the same time. Well, the platform's been sitting there, and maybe 1,000, 2,000 people are on the platform, but all of a sudden it gets this quick 40,000 people that hit. Well, the AWS is set up to where that ramps up instantly. It handles that throughput, if you will, and then it ramps back down. So I think a lot of companies again will just keep their platform ramped and idling very high because the cost to do so isn't so prohibitive, and they just want that instantaneous, like as soon as you click that mouse button it instantly moves. For me, that half a second to 1 second wait is worth it because it's just, again, it's a more environmentally friendly platform from standpoint of we have it optimized for performance, but we really wanted to have just kind of save and be as environmentally friendly. I used to own an environmental consulting firm, so I actually have created greenhouse gas credits through Kyoto Protocol. So that's just part of my background and something that's important to me as well. So
Oh, thanks for that background. It's
yeah,
very useful. I think it's always useful, like you said, as you develop the platform with efficiency
yeah,
as part of that framework anyway. So yeah, it's definitely something that I can see has been, front and center of your thoughts in terms of development. And just obviously because we are a global society and our
mm-hmm.
investor base is primarily European based, does Real Split offer that flexibility, multi-language support, etc., in within the platform?
It certainly does. So we actually had training in AI to go ahead and do all of the translation of the platform. You used to have to really rely upon Google Translate, which was not great. It's it had nuances and things like that. So having an AI with human assistance to go in and translate the website into all the major languages is an initiative that we're actually on right now. But our agentic AI, um, I mean, you can ask for it to respond in any language on the planet and it will respond. So I think that's more important. I mean, it's great to be able to view and read things in your own language, but if you want to have a conversation with the AI and learn about the properties, learn about RealSplit, being able to have it speak to you in your native tongue, I think was important. So that's another thing that we're constantly training and refining. And when we get ready to launch, we're going to be excited to unveil that. So
Okay, sounds exciting.
yeah.
Sounds like there's a lot going on in the next couple of months actually. So can you share with us, just leading into that, can you share with us what the roadmap looks like for the next 12 to 18 months in kind of a summary view, just to give the investors an idea of what's going to be happening?
Well, I am happy to report that the next 12 to 18 months is going to be super boring. from a development standpoint. We're entering what's called continuous improvement, continuous development. So I know a lot of startups, when they're launching, they build what's called a minimum viable product, right? It's just a basic product. It's just to show you what they can do, and they're raising money to go build their technology. My partner Brian and I have been at this for a couple of years now. We've invested all of our own money. We built the platform out completely. It's done. So will we continue to improve it? Absolutely. As new AI models come out, will we adopt them? We absolutely will. I'm actually looking at a couple new blockchains to integrate as well. So we'll always make improvements to the platform, Rexford, but I don't need to do anything to it to open the doors. So once we've completed our fundraise with CIN and we have that money in the door, we're going to immediately start using that for marketing and to launch and to actually go to market. So we're probably, let's say, 60 to 90 days at the farthest out of generating revenue for the project, the company. So I know that's unique in startups as well. A lot of companies, they're a year away, from 2 years away. They're a long ways. We're ready to go now. So we didn't want to go out and bring in outside investor capital until we were ready to launch. We wanted them to come in last money in, right? Like, we put in all the time, we put in all of our own money and expertise. Now we're ready to launch. Now you can come in and participate. So yeah, I'm sorry. It's nothing needs to be done major, just CICD. Oh, you're on mute, Rexford.
Yeah, no, I understand. So yeah, it sounds like it's already baked, as it were, for to coin a phrase. We're coming into a situation where the platform's been built. We have traction, we have the properties, we have the resources to make it work, and we have the right minds in place. So it's not necessarily a proof of concept. This is driving
No.
for expansion, and that's the key difference here. And this is why it's such a great opportunity for people to get involved at this stage. And just to highlight, it's not necessarily even just about the investment, it's the opportunity and the network, and some of the associative benefits that you're going to get from being involved in the growth of this market. And we're going to
For
cover
sure.
we're going to cover more about the size of that market with Brian, but
Yeah.
we're talking about multi-trillion-dollar market here for commercial real
Isn't that
estate.
crazy?
Yeah,
I mean, you think about
multi-trillion.
commercial real estate, you think about all the massive properties in the world, right?
Mm,
You know, I always think of like, um, Empire State Building or something
mm,
like that, just a massive
mm,
building. And you
mm,
think of, there's a lot of massive buildings in New York. There's a lot
mm,
of massive buildings in London. I mean, just
mm,
think about all the real estate you walk around and you're walking past this $500 million property here and this
mm.
$300 million property there. So when you start adding up all of these massive properties all over the globe, yeah, you got a multi-trillion-dollar market. And, it's been interesting when you start thinking about what we're doing. You typically needed to know somebody or have a lot of money in your bank account to participate in a commercial property, right? Like, most real estate companies just don't have the ability to take on an investor for $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, right? The amount of paperwork, the amount of time, everything that goes into managing that investor, it's just too much work, too much of a headache. As we have a saying here in the US, the juice isn't worth the squeeze, right? When we built our platform, we automated all of those processes, right? We have AI doing all of those things. So other than the key regulatory things that our broker dealer handles and stuff that we just can't have technology do, we're 90+% automated. So we can work with investors globally. We can take in those smaller people. And I'm excited about it because this allows people that would normally never participate in this market to participate, to buy into a property and have passive income, right? Because that's what you invest in commercial real estate for, those quarterly, distributions from operating and liquidating dividends. So, I think that's going to be something people are going to be really excited about, to put money into something that's going to continually spit off passive income for them.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely exciting, and that's the reason why some of our investors do get involved. They're looking at that long run or passive income, low risk. Obviously, this is a nominal investment. But again, these are investors who are happy to make larger bets as they see traction. And in close.
Rexford, let me interrupt you there real quick because I think one key thing that we haven't touched on,
Mm,
and that's a really core thing to real split, is the downside to
mm,
commercial real estate is this.
mm,
So on a traditional deal, a smaller investor is called an LP, a limited partner, right? So I come in and let's say I own 1% of this property. So whoever owns the property is the general partner, right? And I say, hey, I've been involved with this property for 3 years, but I got my kid graduating, which she is.
mm.
And I got college coming up. I need to cash this out. Like I want to, I need some money from college for her, don't want to pull out of my savings. Let's cash this out. They could tell me no. They're like, no, we're not going to buy that back from you, and we're not planning to sell the property. So the downside to commercial real estate is it's illiquid.
Mm.
So again, here comes technology, here comes RealSplit. Our platform has a secondary market. So working with our broker dealer, we allow our investors the ability to take their ownership, their splits is what we call them, in a property and be able to sell them to other investors. So once we've initially raised capital for a property, like this is Laura behind me, right? This is our mixed use property in California. Once we've raised money for that property, and then about 12 months later, we open it up for secondary trading. So the downside to commercial real estate used to be it was illiquid, and if you wanted to sell it, unless the property owner bought you out, you weren't getting out. Now with RealSplit, we can allow you to get out and offer that to other investors and do that with ease. So I think that is one of the huge upsides of being able to tokenize and fractionalize real estate, which I'm excited to see because it's never really been done. Like we've had people come in and have fractional ownership in properties, but we've never really had a secondary market.
Yeah, thanks for that, Daniel. I think that's an important point that you've made there. That yes, you're creating real-time liquidity by introducing the splits, which again can be liquidated at any point. One key question that we always kind of ask, especially the technical folk that are involved in these investments, is so obviously you've been involved in the building of the platform. I mean, what one thing would you say that keeps you up at night or wakes you up in the morning? Would you like to share as a tidbit before we close today, just to give the people an idea of what makes your clock tick? What's keeping you up? One thing that's keeping you up at night, or maybe getting you up in the morning at the moment.
Nothing that scares me, like something
Hmm.
could go wrong. We've had third-party tech audits, which we've done really well, 90% plus. All of our smart contracts have been audited, so I'm not worried about those things. The thing that kind of maybe keeps me up at night and definitely gets me going in the morning is, and we touched on this a little bit in that when I talked about the secondary market, but it could be massive. Like people trade cryptocurrency, like some people do it for a living. And what is a cryptocurrency? It's an asset that has no tangible value, right? Like Bitcoin has nothing behind it. It's worth what you and I think it's worth. And it could turn to zero tomorrow. So why wouldn't people want to start shifting from trading an asset that trades as easy as crypto into a real world asset trade? Because they know this property is never going to go to zero. They know it's always going to be worth something, right? So if we allow people to trade their splits, could the volume of that get to be as high as a cryptocurrency? That's what kind of blows my mind because we haven't even put into our financial models revenue from secondary market trading because there's no way to forecast it. But that could be massive. That could be huge. If people really get into trading real world asset tokens like splits from RealSplit, the trading could be massive, which us as RealSplit, we charge a fee for every trade. So that's just another revenue stream. That's just another profit source for us. That's free money. We don't have to do anything for that. We've got the property, we bought it, we own it, we run it, we make money from that. And all of a sudden, all this trading is happening over here and we're making fees off it and we're not doing anything. That's the thing that kind of really excites me.
That's good. I mean, it's interesting because as you were talking, I could see that excitement and the eagerness to get going. So, From an investor standpoint, we've got a very, very motivated team behind Daniel. We've got the experience and the hands-on experience that Brian has, and ultimately, we've got the beginnings of something that could spiral very easily into a multi-billion dollar investment, and we're giving you guys the opportunity to get in on the ground level. So again, let's get involved. Thank you, Daniel, for your time and for
Thanks,
that
Rexford. This has been
insight.
great.
And we've really enjoyed it, and I'm sure we'll do it
Me as
again.
well.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely. We can do one with Brian next time.
Yeah. Take care. Thank you.